Sup, guys. So today, guys, I want to answer you all the questions pertaining a pressure cooker. This one right here. So many guys had asked about, they want to know the pros and the cons of a pressure cooker. That is the advantages and the disadvantages of a pressure cooker. What you need to look for before going to purchase a pressure cooker. The best brands there of pressure cookers. So guys, I want you to stay tuned, listen very carefully, view up to the end so that you get to learn and get all the tips that I'm going to tell you about a pressure cooker before you go out there to purchase one. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. Let me start with the advantages of using a pressure cooker or instant pots. You'll find that one, you can save a lot of time when you're using a pressure cooker. Ukipika kitu kama beans ama cereals, you'll find that sometimes it takes a lot of time when you're not using a pressure cooker. But once you are using a pressure cooker, it takes not more than 30 minutes or so. Another advantage of using a pressure cooker, for instance, you'll just go to the cereal shop. Utapata 1 kilogram of beans, it can serve you for a longer period than ukienda kununua cups mbili za the same kwa watu wenye wanapika already huko nje, which will cost you maybe 100 shillings or so. So you see, when you are using a pressure cooker, you'll have to save money out of that. It is also easy to operate a pressure cooker, especially when you are using an electric pressure cooker. You find that you just have to follow the instructions. You put your foodstuffs in it, the one that you want to cook. Then you'll find that on the pressure cooker we have buttons. It has been labeled what you want to eat. For instance, if you want to cook beans or rice or chicken, you find that especially many of electric pressure cookers utapata wameka labels, so you just press on that label and the time starts to count. You don't have to go and keep checking on it. Yenyewe ita calculate the amount of time that is going to use. Then you just have to sit down and wait for it to finish until you go and open it. A good pressure cooker is durable. We have a lot of counterfeit, so you have to be very, very careful when you are purchasing pressure cookers in the market, because lazima kutakuwa na zile counterfeit. So in another video we shall tell you some of the best pressure cookers that you have to go and source in the market. When you are going to the market, always ensure that you are going to get a nice pressure cooker that is not counterfeited. Another advantage is the nutrients in the pressure cooker are never lost. Unlike when you are cooking using other methods, you find that ukieka kwa meko unapata tu the nutrients are evaporating in the air as it cooks. But on the pressure cooker, because it's enclosed, every contents are pressurized in it, so that means that you'll always be having your nutrients, almost all of them, intact when you eat your food. Again, when you are using a pressure cooker, it means that you've sealed it. All the contents that are in it are sealed, so that means that your food is not open for other microorganisms or bacteria to enter. Kwa sufuria, you'll find that most of the time, maybe when you are opening it to check if it's cooking or not, you might find that some bacteria are getting into it. So that means that your food is exposed to bacteria and microorganisms. Your flavors are conserved because the pressure cooker is always sealed. So that means that hiyo flavor yenye imekuja na hiyo food yako itabaki pale pale. It won't evaporate because there are no other foreign bacteria that are coming in. Kama ni chicken, ukiitoa hapo hivyo inanukia to that chicken. If rice, inakuja na hiyo flavor ya rice kabisa. So that is some of the advantages of using a pressure cooker. If I've left anyone out, feel free to write down in the comment section. You can also ask us so that we can include. Let me get you through some of the disadvantages of using a pressure cooker. One is that you may need some practice at the beginning before you start using a pressure cooker. Be it electric or manual, you'll have to learn first the basics.
of operating it, because when you get one thing wrong, then it means your food will not get cooked as it's supposed to be. Also, you are exposing yourself to hazard. This one is a pressure cooker. It means the air in it is pressurized. So that means that if you don't close for instance, the pressure valve, if you open it in a wrong way, the pressure in it, when it's escaping, it might burn you. It's very dangerous for you. So that means that you have to ensure that you've gone through the manual, you've understood how to operate that pressure cooker, you seal it the way it's supposed to be sealed, and you cook the right food that is supposed to be cooked for you to get the best outcome out of it. Pressure cookers can be expensive. Very true. You find that the best pressure cookers are not that too cheap. They can be expensive, but you know what, as I told you earlier, you rather spend a lot of money getting a nice pressure cooker, because it's going to serve you for a very long time. So you always ensure that you are going to look for a nice, not a counterfeited one, a nice pressure cooker, because it's going to serve, however much expensive it will be, it's going to serve you for a very long time. You can't check if your food is ready while cooking. Once you replace the lid, you are not supposed to open it until the food is ready, because these are pressurized contents. It means that you have to wait until the timer has run out. That is when you are going to open it and check if your food is ready or not. You can't adjust the flavor during the cooking process. When you are cooking your vegetable rice, it means that once you've placed the contents in it, the pressure cooker, and you've sealed it, hakuna ati utaenda ufungue tena uongeze kachumvi ndani ama uongeze tu mafuta ndani. That is it. Once you've sealed it, itaiva mpaka venye itaisha ndio ufungue. Another one is that you can't look inside. It's just the same as the usual one. You are not supposed to open the lid once the food have started cooking in the pressure cooker. So you are not supposed to open that lid at all. There are only those dishes that can be cooked in a pressure cooker. In a separate video, we are going to explain to you some of the foods or the foodstuffs that you're supposed to cook in a pressure cooker, and the foodstuffs that you cannot cook in a pressure cooker. So make sure that you watch out for this next video, because we'll be doing it very soon. So another disadvantage of using a pressure cooker, you find that overcooking might be a problem. This is because most of the time, especially if you are a beginner, you might not be in a position to determine exactly the amount of time you need to look out for certain foods to cook. So most of the time you'll have to put up with the eating overcooked food, but eventually after some experience, now you learn that some foods might need not so much time to be cooked. For instance, if you are used to cooking your beans for 1 hour, you'll find that in a pressure cooker might take less than an hour. You may have to renew the sealing ring. I've said that pressure cookers last for a very long time, but of course at some point you'll need to replace your sealing ring. The sealing ring is meant to keep all the steam inside the pressure cooker so it can work most efficiently. However, over time the sealing ring will not work properly anymore and will have to be replaced, which can cost a little bit of extra money for that. But you know what? You don't have to worry about it, because if you have a nice pressure cooker, you might not be needing to replace that sealing ring anytime soon. Cheap ones may not work properly. Yes, I've already told you that if you are in the market and looking for a nice pressure cooker, always ensure that you are not going for the counterfeited ones. You have to ensure that you know how to determine a counterfeited one and an original one. Always ensure that you are going to look for the best. Don't look at the pricing. The mistakes many people normally do is that when you go to the market, you will find that somebody is selling, by the look of the eyes, a very nice big pressure cooker at a cheaper price than what you had anticipated. But you'll find that that pressure cooker is cheap. The quality of it is also very down. So you'll find that it won't serve you for a longer period of time than you had anticipated. So having told you that, guys, I think it's time for me to go to another step, whereby I'm going to quickly pass you through some of the functions on an electric pressure cooker. This one I'm going to use an electric pressure cooker because that is what I'm using at the moment. You know, there are two different types of pressure cookers. We have the electric one and we have the manual one. But for me, if you ask me, I will tell you that the electric one is much better than the manual one, because most of the things you just have to press the button and you leave it. But on the manual one, you have to monitor it. There is also another video that we will be doing, probably to tell you why you need to take an electric pressure cooker, or the advantages of an electric pressure cooker and the disadvantages of a manual pressure cooker. Yes. So quickly, I'm going to pass you through some of the buttons that you find on a pressure cooker. What are the functions? So I'm just going to expound on it and elaborate so that you can understand it in a good manner. I've told you that when you're using an electric pressure cooker, you'll find that mostly they come with buttons that are labeled. Those buttons, they have their own tasks. So when you want to cook a certain kind of meal, you just have to press a certain button, and everything else in the pressure cooker, you leave it for it to cook until the timer runs out. Then you just come to check if it's out and you get your food stuff ready to eat. So in this part of the video, we are going to look at the different functions and settings found on a pressure cooker. I'm going to use an instant pot. I'm also going to use a Bosch electric pressure cooker. You'll find that mostly the buttons or the settings are almost the same on every pressure cooker. However, you'll find that some are many, others are less. They differ in various ways, but you don't have to be so surprised about it, because some of these buttons, their functions, you don't have to use them. I'm just going to try and elaborate each and every function. So for those that are using an instant pot pressure cooker, that is for electric pressure cooker, not manual one. On the buttons, you'll find we have the soup button. You'll get another button labeled meat or stew. We have beans. We have poultry, slow cook, saute, pressure, adjust, manual, timer, yogurt, porridge, multigrain, rice. Yeah. So and then you also see there are some parts with indicated plus and a minus. So on the Bosch pressure cooker, you will find that we have buttons labeled as meal, soup, spare ribs, chicken, grain rice, fish, nutritional bake, porridge, cake, bean or tendon. Yes, and then we have the pressure choice, we have the texture choice, we have the make an appointment button, then we have the heat, preservation or cancel button. Yeah, so I'm going to try and highlight each function on every button highlighted here, and just like I said, you might not be needing all these buttons at once. I will tell you why in a few. So as you can hear from the background, Brittany is also trying to help me to just analyze and tell you how these buttons work in a pressure cooker. Yes, so let me start with the instant pot. The manual or pressure cook button is used to regulate the pressure. So by hitting the plus sign, it means that you are increasing the pressure, or the minus sign that is labeled here, you are reducing the pressure in it. So this one is used when you are trying to regulate the temperature of whatever you are cooking. So you just hit the plus to increase or the minus to reduce. So we have the saute function. Mostly this one is used when you are cooking meat, veggies. Yeah, so what you have to do, you just have also to hit the saute button and then adjust it to reach a low or normal or high temperatures. So it's always as simple as that. You just have to hit every button regarding the whatever you are cooking in it, in the pot. Then you just have to adjust it until you reach the actual temperature that you want to cook whatever that is in it. So the same applies to the yogurt function. The yogurt function or button is used when you are making yogurt. So you also have just to hit the yogurt button, then adjust it for the boil or to increase the incubate time. And then the timer button is used when you are delaying cooking time. So for instance, first you have to set the cooking time of whatever that you are cooking in the pressure cooker. Then you hit the timer and use the plus or minus button to set delay time. In this essence, delay time means the time that you want that food to cook. For instance, if you are cooking rice and it has given you, when you hit the timer first, perhaps maybe it will give you 30 seconds or 30 minutes, that is. So if you want your beans to cook for more than 30 minutes, you just have to hit the timer first, and then you will use the plus or minus button up to the time that you want the cooking time to delay. When you hit the slow cooker button, this one is mostly used when you are cooking slow cooking foods. You have to just hit on the slow cooking first and then adjust to switch from low or normal or high temperatures. So it is always as simple as that, gentlemen and ladies. However, depending on the instant pot model you have, your electric pressure cooker may have settings for meat, for example, chicken, rice, cake, egg, sterilize, steam, soup, stew, meal, fish, bake, and whatever, cake and sort of stuff. So these functions, I want you to know that these are functions that I do not use or recommend most of the time. This is because it is much better to cook on high or low pressure and manually adjust the temperatures yourself based on what you are cooking. But this one is challenging, especially those who are not eligible to cooking using a pressure cooker, because you might not know exactly the time that you need for a certain food to cook. So most of the time you'll find that you're overcooking your food. But using these buttons will slightly enable you to adjust, at least to give you, it automatically helps you to choose the correct heat, the pressure and the weight ratio, so that it cooks in the shortest time possible. For rice or fish button, it will automatically calculate to you the amount that is going to be, the pressure cooker is going to use to heat that or to cook that rice. So for instance, if you feel that maybe perhaps if it has given you 30 minutes and you feel that 30 minutes will be too much, then you can easily just hit on it, then you use the plus or minus button to reduce. That is, if you want it to cook less, you have to reduce. It will just reduce for you from that 30 minutes to the time you want. Same applies if you want to increase it. You just have to use the plus sign and increase the timer so that it will delay the cooking up to that moment, that time that you desire it to cook. The same applies to Bosch electric pressure cooker, because this is what I normally use at the moment in the house. From the previous video that we did about how to use a Bosch pressure cooker, we have those people that were asking about the functions of each button on the pressure cooker. So like I've said, you'll find that we have a meal button, we have a soup, we have spare ribs, chicken or duck meat, we have grain rice, fish, nutrition bake, we have the porridge button, we have the braise or stifling button, we have the cake, we have the bean or tendon. So I'm going to just quickly get you through all these functions, each function of every button, so that you might not be in a position. But as I've said, you might find that not all these buttons are going to be helpful to you. Mostly just hit the pressure choice button. That is going to be the most important button in this kind of pressure cooker. If you want to cook soup, for instance, depending on the kind of soup that you're cooking, you just have to press the button for soup and it will instantly heat up to mostly around 230 degrees, and it will cook your soup between 20 to 50 minutes depending on which pressure you chose. So that one is just automatic that way. You just have to be there all the time to ensure that you are checking to find out if your soup. Remember, I told you that when you are one of the disadvantages of using a pressure cooker is you cannot open it once you've sealed it. So these buttons are going to at least ensure that your food is cooking, and it will enable you to see if your food is ready or not using the timer. Yes, so the same happens to when you are cooking a meal, when you are cooking spare ribs. You just have to place them inside, and you have to press on the button for that function, and it will calculate for you exactly the amount it's going to take. However, you might want to adjust it. For example, if you are cooking beans, it will cook for around 30 minutes or maybe 40 minutes at much, or at less it might calculate to maybe 25 minutes or less. So you just have to ensure that first of all, you place your beans in the pot, you seal, you replace the lid, you just follow the procedures that are needed. Then after that, you come to the where it is indicated, the button that is indicated bean or tendon. That is whatever cereal that you're cooking. It might be beans, it might be any cereal. So it will automatically calculate the amount of time that is going to use. However, you might find that when you are cooking it, especially when you are still new to it, if it calculates to 30 minutes, then you go and open the lid, you find that the food is not yet cooked. You just have to replace the lid back and also press it for you to. That is one way for you to wait until it recooks again for that amount. Or you might just have to press the bean tendon, then you go to the pressure choice and increase the kind of pressure that you need. For example, if you know that it's not going to take 30 minutes, or maybe you want to increase to around 40 or 50, you just have to press on the pressure choice, and it's automatically going to increase the temperature that you need when you are cooking that particular kind of meal. Somebody was asking in our previous video about what is the function of meal, and somebody also asked what is the brace. So quickly, I'm just going to pass you through all these two. So maybe before I answer that, you find that there is also the manual part, especially if you are using an instant pot. You might not find it on the Bosch pressure cooker. This manual function is when you don't want the pressure cooker to automatically set for you. For example, if I told you that sometimes you might overcook or undercook. So if you know exactly the time that is needed, for example, to cook those beans, you just have to set it to press the manual setting, the manual button, and you manually increase or reduce the kind of temperature. It will show you the kind of temperatures you want. So you just have to use the plus and the minus button. So in our previous video, somebody asked about what is the function of a meal button on a Bosch pressure cooker or any other cooker that has a meal button. Remember, a meal is any kind of meal that you are cooking, any kind of food that you're cooking. So you can just either ignore if, for example, you don't have these other buttons are not indicating the kind of food that you are cooking in it. You just have to press on the meal button, and it is going to calculate for you exactly maybe the amount that you need to cook that particular food that is in your pot. It might be dishes like chicken, beef stew, chili, even a whole roasted chicken. However, you need to remember that there are those foods that can be cooked in a pressure cooker and those that cannot be cooked in a pressure cooker. And I told you that I'm going to list all the foods that you need to cook in a pressure cooker and those that are not necessarily needed to be cooked in a pressure cooker in the next video that I'm going to release very soon. So make sure that you stay tuned for that video. You have to make sure that you subscribe, you hit that notification button, so that when we upload that video, you will also be in a position to view it and learn more about it. Yes. So somebody asked about the function of a brace or stifling. So first of all, you have to understand the meaning of brace. Brace is to fry food slightly and then stew it slowly in a closed container. In this essence, which is a pressure cooker. If you want to fry chicken, your stew, your pork, you have to press on the braise button. That one is going to help you to fry whatever food or whatever stew that you are cooking in your pressure cooker. So I think I've answered you that question. To braise is to fry. So whatever food that you want to fry, you'll have to click or you have to press the braise or stifling button. I hope I've highlighted and answered all the questions that you needed to know. If you have any questions about any particular question or function about a pressure cooker, kindly let me know in the comment section and I'm going to answer it for you instantly. Remember to subscribe, like and share this video, and until the next video guys, bye bye.